What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So over this last week, there has been a problem with the Nintendo Switch update 12.0.3 that has persisted, where people have had a hard time updating or even just downloading games from the eShop. But we've had some recent developments in this situation that's actually been good news, and we're going to go over that one here today. Also, we're going to be talking about the Kojima Blue Box Studios conspiracy that's taken the internet by storm. But in a new article from Bloomberg, which includes an interview with the head of Blue Box Studios, looks like this mystery may have been solved. Also, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD is out next month, and based on a new listing on Nintendo's own site, looks like there might be more to this game than we originally thought. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Amazon Prime Day, or Prime Days. We're like right in the middle of it now, and today appears to be, I guess, the last day they're going to be running sales, but I did notice that SD cards are on like massive discounts. You remember when we had like the 400 gigabyte SD card? It was coming out like back when the Switch was first releasing, and we were seeing it was like hundreds of dollars or something. Well, it looks like you can actually get the 400 gigabyte SD card on like massive discount. We can take a look here on Amazon's website. This is all Prime shipped, and I mean, you could start with the 400 gigabyte SD card sitting at $38, marked down from $70, and then also going down from there, all of the other SD cards, including the 256 gigabyte at $29, the 200 gigabyte at $25, and even the 128 gigabyte at $18.51. Again, this is just running from, I can tell, through today. I do see these on sale quite a bit though, but Amazon Prime Day is a good time, obviously, to scoop up some extra SD cards if you need more space for your Switch as we head into the holidays, with a bunch of releases dropping. Also, we have a bit of an update from the story yesterday that talked about EA apparently reviving an established franchise at EA Play towards the end of July. Well, it looks like a couple of publications, which includes Eurogamer and even Gamatsu, are now backing up the story that Jeff Grubb had mentioned at GamesBeat during their podcast. So much so now that Gamatsu is actually even talking about the franchise that's going to see a revival, and it's getting people pretty excited. We can head over here to Gamatsu, where they say Gamatsu has also separately heard that a Dead Space revival is in the works at Motive, which is said to be a reimagining rather than a sequel to the existing trilogy. Now, Motive did Squadrons and Battlefront 2, so it's interesting that I guess they would move from Star Wars over to a Dead Space reimagining. Also interesting that it's not a sequel. They're just gonna, I guess, reboot the whole thing, and maybe that makes it a bit easier because they can come up with new ideas and concepts that can play into it. And I mean, think about if this is like just I guess a PS5 and Xbox Series only game, so they kind of just make the jump there and can take advantage of all the extra features of these newer systems. That's exciting stuff for Dead Space fans, but again, it's EA, and we all would like to see a Dead Space reimagining, so it's probably gonna be, I don't know, a new Peggle game or something. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Peggle is pretty cool. I'm sticking with my left field prediction with like Road Rash or something. Oh, and we just had E3 wrap up, and it looks like we now know which games were pre-ordered the most as E3 was wrapping, and obviously people run out to start picking up and at least putting their orders in for special editions or just the regular editions of the games they're looking forward to this holiday. Let's take a look at the list here because, Metroid Dread is number 1. Number 2 is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Then we have Mario Golf on the Switch, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl, Mario Party Superstars, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxies, Far Cry 6, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, Madden NFL 22, and Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is through GameStop, and in fact, if we go to Twitter, they also mentioned the top 5 tweeted games during E3 2021, which is Breath of the Wild, the sequel, Breath of the Wild 2, Elden Ring, Battlefield 2042, Halo Infinite, and Forza Horizon 5. But, I mean, Metroid Dread at the top of GameStop's pre-orders for, like, the E3 time period. Sean might want to go ahead and pick up Balan Wonderworld while I can, because last I saw it was on sale for $20. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this error code that's been a problem for the Switch over the last like 10 days or so. Basically, when that update 12.0.3 went up and people started realizing there were issues, Nintendo pulled it back down and then put it back up, but it still wasn't fixed. It's been a problem. And it's really strange because we went through all through E3, and now there's this big sale going on right now on the eShop, and other publishers are doing things on their website like Square Enix. So not a great time to have an issue and an error code that keeps you from downloading games you may have just purchased on the eShop, or even updating the games that you just bought. But it does look like, as of now, Nintendo did fix this problem. We can head over to Oatmeal Dome, where they say, since I'm still somehow being mentioned occasionally over the 2123-1502 error debacle, the eShop download servers will undergo maintenance on June 29th, so speculation that perhaps Nintendo will do something about the issue during that period of time. Now, this to them is pure speculation. However, it was pointed out in a follow-up message that they also had maintenance on June 20th, so just the other day, and it appears now that the issue has been fixed. This was from Sam saying, Nintendo sorted it out because I got the new update 12.0.3, and I've been downloading games, updating them, and the error code 2123-1502 has not been stopping it. And in fact, there's an entire Reddit post that was tracking this situation over the last week, and they had gone through and kept doing edits with different updates based on what they were finding. And in that thread, many messages over the last 24 hours have said, hey, that error code is now gone. It appears that whatever Nintendo had to do, they went ahead and fixed it, and we're good to go. Now, I unfortunately cannot confirm this on my end because I just never ran into the error code. I mean, I was downloading and updating games, not like a ton, but I did download 1 or 2 titles and didn't really have any issues. One I even went in and did on purpose just to see if that error code would hit my system, and it just didn't. So let me know down in the comments if you were experiencing this error code, and if now you're not getting it. It does appear that whatever the problem was, it wasn't necessarily on your Switch, it was on Nintendo's servers on their end. So I guess they just had to figure out what the problem was and go ahead and clean that up on their side, and it didn't really require a new update getting pushed out to any of the Switch systems. So I guess it's good that it got fixed. It's weird that it took so long, but Nintendo's been pushing a lot of updates recently, so I guess it's not surprising that one of them would have tripped something up. And again, I do wonder if they are preparing for something here coming up. Not necessarily like a new system or anything, but like, I've been asking for an overhaul of the eShop or the system itself when it comes to some of the features they could add in. So we'll see if they have anything coming up. At least they managed to fix this error code that essentially kept you from, well, getting your games off the eShop. Next up, let's talk about the whole situation around Blue Box Studios and Kojima. This started with that trailer for Abandon that has now led to people thinking that Kojima has thrown up an entire smokescreen with a shell studio in order to drop hints leading up to a big Silent Hill reveal, and I guess a reunion for Kojima with Konami. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't really look like that is going to happen. It does look like, as I said before, this may have been a rabbit hole that a lot of fans kind of dug out and went down themselves, hoping that it would be Kojima on the other end and that they figured it all out ahead of the reveal. It does actually look like it's legitimately just an indie developer who, leaned into it probably a bit more than they should have. I mean, we've got to the point where people are taking their name and translating it in Turkish, and it's turning into Hideo, and the initials match up, and we're looking through the trailer frame by frame, looking for all these references, going through LinkedIn. It may have gotten a bit out of hand now, but Bloomberg, Jason Schreier, actually managed to have a full interview with this person, and we can head over here where we can kind of go over some of the odd things that took place. One, it was pointed out that apparently Blue Box Studios had a Kickstarter back in like 2015 for a project called Rewind that didn't take off. The Kickstarter failed, but Sony still approached them about making a game with Sony and their PlayStation Studios branding, I guess, as they have been making partnerships we've seen with several studios. It just seems odd that they would have gone out and grabbed this one specifically with a Kickstarter that wasn't popular enough or even interesting enough to secure, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 or so for funding. Now, the head at Blue Box Studios' name is Hassan Kahraman, and we can even see Bloomberg maybe even questioning the whole situation themselves with Jason Schreier saying, but the conversation raised many more questions. Kahraman would not make other members of his team available for interviews and would only identify one who didn't respond to a request for comment. Kahraman said he had signed a contract with Sony but wouldn't offer specifics. He also said the game was funded by investors investors, but wouldn't say who. There is a reason for that, but I really can't talk about it. Carmine named 2 of the 6 or 7 outsourcing companies that he said Blue Box is working with, NAR Studio and Dekogon Studios. Representatives for both companies declined to comment. In a follow-up message, Carmine said he plans to hold a live stream video soon to answer questions and show the faces of his team. People need it fast, he said. All right, so I guess there's going to be a live stream where they just take a webcam around the office and just introduce everyone. Like I said, I think this has turned into more of a publicity stunt on the side of Blue Box Studios, realizing they're getting a ton of attention to a game that was overlooked up until Kojima could potentially be linked to it. Seriously, I mean, Abandoned's trailer, people saw it and they were like, all right, I guess, and they kept on moving. But as, I guess, the Kojima links started coming in, the trailer for that exploded over 1 million views in like 24 hours or something. And we've seen threads on different forums approach that on its own, just in terms of views, and post counts have got out of hand of all these different conspiracy theories. And it's almost to the point now where people like just expect Kojima to show up in this live stream. Like, it would be disappointing if he didn't, and I think that's what's gonna happen. Not that Kojima will show up, but that it's gonna be disappointing because it legitimately is just gonna be an indie developer, and yeah, maybe a couple of people, as they say, well, like 10 people who are working there, legitimately making a game like Abandoned, and they're gonna reveal the title of it. It's gonna come out, and it's gonna be most likely an average or so game at best, and then that'll be kind of it. Everyone will move on. So we'll see what happens, and when this live stream goes down, I'm sure the internet will react accordingly. Next up, let's talk about The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. It's out next month, and the only real quality of life improvement we know about is locked behind an amiibo that's already being scalped on eBay for like double or even triple the price. Well, apparently there are other quality of life improvements that I guess Nintendo just has not talked about, because on Nintendo's own website, going over the description of the game, we can see this, where they say enhanced performance. That is something they've gone over, of course, 60 frames per second, 1080p and all that. Improved motion controls with the Joy-Con controllers, all new button controls, allowing you to choose your style of play. Everything seems pretty straightforward here so far, but then they say various quality of life enhancements, including refinements to player tutorials and general guidance throughout the adventure. So there have been some talks, obviously, around Skyward Sword HD, and some of the more annoying things with the game, without spoiling anything, there are sound bites that don't really need to be in there, right? Like, that's the biggest thing that people will point towards, and sure, they could have toned those down or maybe gotten rid of most of them completely. And I'm looking at this like, okay, if it was a quality of life improvement worth talking about, they probably would have done that. So I'm thinking these aren't like massive improvements, nothing even maybe worth listing on the back of the box, for example, but things you would notice if you've played through Skyward Sword a couple of times. I played through it once, and that was kind of it back when it first released on the Wii. They even had like the gold remote and all of this. I remember getting that whole bundle, which was really cool. But that's my thought here. It's not worth advertising. It's something that'll just be nice, I guess, as we move up with better performance overall, higher resolution, and button controls. Like I said, the only thing that's kind of a shame is that the big quality of life improvement that's been advertised is behind the amiibo. And I mean, we'll see when the game comes out if there maybe are some hidden in there, or who knows, maybe they altered different parts of the game to make them a bit more streamlined. We'll see. It's coming out next month, so hey, I mean, a couple weeks we'll have it in our hands anyway. We can find out for ourselves. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077 making its return to the PlayStation Store. We talked about this before, as there were talks that it was getting lined up to show up again on the PlayStation Network, but it is now official. We can head over here to Twitter, PlayStation's account, saying Cyberpunk 2077 is now available at PlayStation Store. Work on the PS4 version continues, with fixes and updates to be released throughout the year. For the best experience on PlayStation, playing on PS4 Pro or PS5 consoles is recommended. So basically they're saying, yeah, don't buy this thing on the base system, but that's incredible to me that the game is so bad on the base PS4 that even Sony's like, yeah, don't buy it on that PlayStation 4. I mean, we've seen the Digital Foundry videos on the base PS4 and the Xbox One. This thing basically becoming unplayable when you get out into the city and start driving around, dropping into like the single digit frame rates. Yeah, not great. The PS4 Pro, it is better. It's, more or less 30 frames per second or so locked most of the time. But if you're going to play it and you absolutely want to experience this game, the PS5, I played through it there with 60 frames per second. It wasn't like taking advantage of what the PS5 can do when it comes to resolution or any of that, but it at least got me through the game, and it did crash quite a bit and have some bugs, some of them funny, others not, because it just stopped me from progressing through the game and I had to reload back to like previous saves that I had. Fortunately, were before the game-breaking bugs that really just screwed up the entire story at times and quest lines. So we'll see. I guess more and more patches are coming, but I guess it's back up on the store now for anyone who wants to pick it up. I would recommend to wait on this one because I believe they're going to basically launch the game again at the end of this year, holiday most likely, when they get the PS5 version out alongside of the Series X, new box art, the whole thing. I assume they're not going to try for $70 price tag, but CD Projekt Red continues to surprise me, so who knows? And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, are you picking up Mario Golf Super Rush? 17% said yes, I'm getting it as soon as I can. 32% said not right away, I'll wait for a sale. 43% said no, not interested in the game. And then 8% of you just don't have a Switch. All right, so looking at Mario Golf in general, I don't think it's gonna have like this massive widespread appeal, like compared to just a Mario platformer or like The Legend of Zelda, like a big franchise. Even though Mario's on the cover, it's still a golf game. So I understand some people are gonna say, well, I don't really like golf that much. Why would I like Mario Golf? But like Mario Golf has always put like this fun arcadey spin on things. We have speed golf this time. However, the big draw for me is the single player mode that they've included here that has like the RPG elements tacked on. I really enjoyed that from the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance days. So I'm going to be checking this one out. I think it's a bad idea to wait for a sale because Nintendo themselves said they're going to continue adding free updates to this game, and we've seen that before with things like Mario Tennis, for example, where it kind of feels like, all right, they could have probably like spent more time working on the game. They just wanted to get it out there, and then they'll kind of add to it as they go along here and then eventually complete it, which, hey, maybe it's on sale, then you pick it up. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Steele saying, I just realized Bloomberg were expecting an early June reveal for a system that would go into production in July. That timing is all wrong. Switch and Switch Lite were already being mass produced when they were revealed. Yeah, actually the Switch Lite was leaked out when it was in the factory. Remember that picture of like the back of the turquoise shell with like the rainbow? I think that was covering up the serial number or ID number or something like that. You're right, actually, if it's gonna be revealed, it will probably be over the summer. I think the reason that Bloomberg, and yes, even Eurogamer came in and said, oh, it could be ahead of V3 is because I guess there were developers or publishers that may have wanted to talk about, we'll say a Switch Pro patch or even a Switch Pro version of the game. Again, these are all reports from Bloomberg and corroboration from Eurogamer, so everything's still technically rumor and speculation, but I guess that makes sense. The problem is, let's say this thing does exist and it will be revealed. Right now, everyone's just kind of guessing at when it could be revealed. And knowing Nintendo, they'll just kind of do it out of left field on like a random Tuesday or Wednesday morning. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the Nintendo Switch in that update 12.0.3 causing a bunch of error codes? Let me know if yours has now been fixed since Nintendo did that maintenance on the 20th. Also, what about this whole Blue Box Studios Kojima conspiracy going around? Do you think this latest Bloomberg article with that interview has kind of put that mystery to rest? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.